Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of To the Point. This is an odd one. It's for Europa Universalis 4. Um, Specifically the base game of Europa Universalis 4. The version I have is the Extreme Edition, which is a weird name for a game like this. Um, the Extreme Edition mainly just comes with some cosmetic DLCs, really, some like extra music packs and stuff like that, really. Um, and the reason, so mind you, I'm not using any of the DLCs that overhaul this game in any way. I'm not using Common Sense, Rights of Man, Art of War, anything like that. I've just been playing the basic game because it was on sale for cheap. It was like, what, $11 when it's normally $44, so I figured, hey, sure, why not? Um, and I have been putting a lot of hours into it. Um, for some reason, this game's really gotten me good. Out of all the Paradox Grand Strategy games that I've played a decent number of them. I've got Crusader Kings 2, I've got Hearts of Iron 4, got this, and I have Imperator Rome in Stellaris, but that's not really the same. You know what I mean? It's a space game. It's not really a historical simulator. But out of all of them, this and Imperator Rome have been the ones that I've really liked, honestly, and that, to get to the point, yeah. I like this game. I like the base game. I will say it's kind of on the shallow side. It seems to be missing a good chunk of stuff, but all in all, it's a good game, and I think this and Imperator Rome, especially this one actually, now that they've overhauled Imperator Rome with the Cicero update, um, this game's actually pretty good if you're looking to get into these historical grand strategy games. I think, which is good for new people, bad for like the veterans because the veterans really don't like some of the systems in here, like the mana system as it's called, where essentially everything you do is based on points you spend. Uh, yeah, it's based on like various points that you earn and spend to do things immediately, whereas like in Crusader Kings 2, you have to wait and plot your every move and all that without spending too much of the theoretical mana, you know? But essentially, yeah, to the point, I like it. I think it's a good introduction, and I think it's probably enhanced even more with the DLCs, as that's kind of the point. But and these are all the DLCs, these are just some of the DLCs, dear lord. But anyway, um, what's the idea behind this game? Well, it's much like other Paradox Grand Strategy games, it's historical. You choose a time period that's available to you, and you pick a nation from that time period. The game will also recommend you nations that it thinks are good for this time period. But you can choose anything. Like, it recommends that I play either Castile, England, France, or Portugal, but I can just say no, go over here and pick out like a random Japanese kingdom if I felt like it. But for now, we'll go with Castile, just to demonstrate. Not Iron Man mode. Iron Man mode is basically the only save you have for the game is the autosave, so you can never turn back. You can never turn back the clock on your decision, so you have to think carefully. And it's also the only way to get achievements in the game. But yeah, you can kind of see how this is going. EU4 is much simpler than some of the other ones, as people call it the paint the map simulator. So you'll notice we have a bunch of these. These are nowhere near as complicated as they look, right? So this one, just choose rivals. You can pick your rivals. You can do special things against rival nations. You have to have at least 3 or else you'll suffer a penalty um, to your power projection right here, which is basically how strong you can sort of, how much influence you have over the world with your might, essentially. So I'll just pick, sure, Austria, sure, Venice, France, sure. Probably bad idea. Really bad idea, actually. France is way stronger than me, but I don't care. Anyway, um, so now you can do special things against them, like you'll get special Casus Belli, which if I turn up the clock, which is, this is how time passes in the game. And now I get an alliance offer from Portugal, so sure. Generally, you'll get various Casus Belli once you're able to start declaring wars, and that's your justification for war. You can't just go to war. You need a reason, right? So that's another thing. You need a reason to go to war. You manage all these little nations here, all these different kinds of actions. Generally, again, it's not nearly as complicated as it looks like. This is the mana. You spend this to do basically anything. You spend this, gold, and occasionally you lose some of these, depending on random events that occur. But that's about it. It's all dependent upon these various factors, right? Again, this is not as complicated. This just means that the succession line is disputed. Like if you're missing an heir, the current heiress is terrible, but if like a nation is missing an heir, then they'll appear in this list. These are like just basic decisions you can do. This is your mission tree, which is like various things you can that help guide you along. You know, this determines the religion of everyone in your empire, the truces you have, the stuff you can build, advisor slots, whatever. It's not actually as complicated. It's much simpler to understand once you pick it up. But generally, yeah, it's a good strategy game. I mean, it's a good introduction, and it's just decent on its own. And I imagine it's even better with the expansions. So I think the final question would be I think I answered the final question. Is it good? Do I like it? Yes, I do. I do. I'm trying to formulate myself here. I'm trying to comprehend how to explain a game of this size, because this game's friggin' huge. It goes from like the 1400s all the way to the 1800s, right? So you go from the Renaissance to like the early modern period. Okay? So it's kind of ridiculous how far this goes. Yeah. So yeah, generally, EU4, I recommend it. I recommend it. If you're new to, I think anyone who's already a fan of grand strategy games will have already played this and will know if they like it or not. But if you're new to these types of games, I'd say this is actually a pretty good introduction. This and Imperator Rome are pretty good, really good introductory games. Right? Because Crusader Kings 2 gets really complicated with the fact that every individual like ruler of any size is like an individual character that you have to manage a relationship with. That's all incredibly complicated. Hearts of Iron 4 is a very complicated war game, World War II game. It's just the military side is extremely complicated instead of the diplomatic side. This is a balance. This is a nice balance between the two that I think beginners who are interested in this type of game can get along with. So yeah, if you're into history, if you are into strategy, anything of that nature, I would highly recommend this game. So yeah, this has been TheRatMan, to the point for base Europa Universalis 4. I will see you all later. Goodbye.